Celebrate their engagement, but as flames rage through a Kentucky nightclub, they fear their future may last only minutes. A young couple's night of terror.
I thought, we're not going to have children now, I'll never see my family again. Those kinds of things that you always think, that's what would go through my mind. That's what went through my mind at that time.
The final wrenching moments of America's most painful war. As the enemy closes in, time runs out, and the last Americans in Vietnam race to escape before the fall of Saigon.
The streets became flooded with people. They were very angry at us. They could see they gave us up.
Also ahead, a love that cost a king his kingdom, the poignant romance of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. There's a vacant lot now in Southgate, Kentucky, a lot where for 40 years the Beverly Hills Supper Club stood. They called it the showplace of the Midwest. Inside were spiral staircases, lavish dance floors, and dining rooms with fountains, mirrored walls, and crystal chandeliers. The club drew big-name entertainment and big crowds. And on the night of May 28, 1977, more than 2,400 people would cram past the club's doors, but not all of them would make it out.
The second chance. We were supposed to die and we didn't.
My main concern was, I have got to get those people out of this building. It's burning.
It was like my Vietnam.
It was like a wartime battle. The enemy, a raging fire that swept through a popular Kentucky nightclub. When the smoke cleared, 164 lives had been snuffed out. And for all the firemen, employees, and hundreds of guests, the fire at the Beverly Hills Supper Club left permanent memories of struggling to help both strangers and loved ones survive.
Beverly Hills was the best supper club in the Midwest. It was elegant.
It equaled any place in Las Vegas, Nevada, any place, Atlantic City. It was deluxe.
They came from miles around to Southgate, Kentucky's Beverly Hills Supper Club, just across the river from Cincinnati. They came to see stars like Dean Martin, Milton Berle, and Jerry Lewis, and to dine and dance in the club's lavish restaurants and nightclubs. On the night of May 28, 1977, Randy Ross and Julie Weingart go there for a celebration.
We weren't used to a place as ornate and as glamorous as that was. We were going to see a top name, John Davidson, which Julie was just nuts over at the time. Plus, it was a special night for us because we had planned to go public with an engagement announcement.
John Davidson's drummer is Joey Herrick, his conductor, Doug Harrow. They have played Beverly Hills before and worried about the overcrowding and the distance from the stage to the door.
Our conductor and I discussed how would we get out of here in a fire. And we just kind of said, well, wouldn't be a good thing, and passed it off.
The show began at about 8:30, and the first act was a two-man comedy team. And it was in the middle of their act that the busboy came on stage and said, there's a small fire in the kitchen.
No smoke. I mean, it was just, and people were filing out.
Very casually, we were walking towards the exit, and then there was a violent explosion.
Out of nowhere, it was like somebody just put thick black smoke in your face. It just smoke. I smelled it. And then I said, John, we got to go now.
We set about to leave, and just seconds after we got through the door, the flames came through that door and stopped people from coming out that door.
Dottie Eberly quickly helps lead guests out of the dining room.
I ran upstairs to the back stairway and helped them down because they were really panicking up there.
I've never seen panic like that. I really haven't. I haven't seen it since. These people knew that they were going to die.
I remember thinking, no, not like this. Not, just not like this. This can't be happening. It can't be the end.
When I still had a hold of Randy, we never said this to each other, but I know we both thought that we were going to die.
I thought, we're not going to have children now. I'll never see my family again. Those kinds of things that you always think, that's what would go through my mind. That's what went through my mind at that time.
Julia told me, she said, I love you, and I told her that I loved her too, and we started praying, but I never gave up trying to get out.
As we got out, maybe after about 15, 20 minutes, and we saw the devastation that was happening, I started circling the building trying to find our conductor and our road manager. And I did find our road manager. We could not find our conductor at the time.
People are beginning to push, and at that point, I think I got pushed forward, Randy got pushed aside, and that's when we were separated.
And I had hold of her arm. So when I got up, I looked over and I realized it wasn't Julie's arm that I had hold of anymore. And right at that time, the smoke, the real black hot smoke hit me right in the face. And the only thing I could think of then was I saw the exit sign and I had to get there.
I'd given up on Julie. I knew she was dead.
They weren't pulling people out after me that were still alive. I was one of the last ones to make it out. And so I assumed the worst. I thought that Randy was still inside.
There was a few people going around, you know, pretty hysterical, looking for their loved ones. But at that time, I was looking for my loved one, you know, our conductor. I was trying to find him.
I never really gave up hope, even though my mind told me there's no chance. But my heart told me that we belonged together and that I would find him.
They took us to the local morgue, which I believe was a high school auditorium, and inside there, that's where they brought all the people. John went in and came back out in 30 seconds and said that was him. We hugged each other and we cried.
I heard a lady screaming, Randy Ross, and I screamed at the top of my lungs, I'm here, I'm here. They took me to the garden. I couldn't see very well, but when I got to about 10 feet from Julie, I realized it was her, and we just grabbed a hold of each other, and we just kept holding,
An investigation showed the Beverly Hills Supper Club fire was caused by a faulty electrical wiring system. The club had no sprinklers, smoke detectors, or alarm systems. Julie Weingart and Randy Ross are now married and live in Georgia with their 3 children. Joey Herrick is still a drummer and runs a Hollywood production company. Next, another moment, another time on Instant Recall. The city is burning, the enemy approaching, and on the embassy rooftop, a desperate struggle to rescue the last Americans before the fall of Saigon. Also, when he married the woman of his dreams, he became the man who could no longer be king. The love affair of King Edward VIII and Wallace Simpson.
Come join the good times at Walt Disney's World on Ice. Take off on a magical journey to Neverland as the classic tale of Peter Pan comes to life like never before. Mickey and Minnie will be there, Donald and Daisy too. There will be daring adventure with the Rescue Rangers, the dastardly deeds of the evil Captain Hook, and of course, you know who. Set your sights on adventure and good times and bring the whole family to Walt Disney's World on Ice.
Get your tickets at the Coliseum box office or any G.I. Joe's Ticketmaster location.
These women were Hollywood sex symbols loved by everyone, beautiful, talented, and destined to die in devastating, lonely deaths.
She loved the booze, and in the end, it destroyed her.
On the next Entertainment Tonight, we've got the inside story on the sad tale of tragic sex symbols, including the beautiful young actress who lost her life attempting to save a child from a burning house. Tragic sex symbols, the inside stories only on Entertainment Tonight. Tonight at 7 on Channel 8.
Pack up the parkas and break out the bikini on the next Good Evening. Sneak a peek at a fleet of fashion.
They're definitely more geared towards flattering the figure and not exposing it.
Beachwear 91 will get you in the swim of things. Then, what do you do when you need to sleep but your body's wide awake? How to reset your biological clock. Plus on Detours, what's so special about Vail, Colorado? Tonight at 7:30 on Channel 8.
When allergies come on this strong, Benadryl comes on stronger.
In the long weeks since the Persian Gulf War began, President Bush has been very careful to promise this will not be another Vietnam. 18 years have passed since the United States withdrew its military forces from Southeast Asia in 1973. But it wasn't until 2 years later, on April 29, 1975, that we relinquished all hope and responsibility for South Vietnam. And in a last-ditch effort to save Americans still there, the United States launched Operation Frequent Wind.
I'd been in the Marine Corps for 4 years. I had spent 2 years overseas, but nothing in my life had prepared me for what I felt at the time. It was overwhelming.
April 29, 1975, North Vietnamese rockets hit Tan Son Nhut Airfield outside Saigon, killing 2 American Marines. The order comes down from Washington: evacuate all Americans immediately. The evacuation plan calls for an airlift from the Tan Son Nhut Airfield and the American Embassy compound in Saigon. Kevin Maloney is a Marine guard at the embassy. He and other Marines will drive buses throughout the city to pick up waiting Americans.
It was quite obvious to people there with a good part of Saigon burning, shells landing all around, that this was the end.
When I received the word from the Bureau, they told me to proceed to a bus stop. One by one, more Western journalists started showing up, and they were all carrying their bags. All during this time, the Vietnamese began appearing and standing on the sidewalks facing us in this little park across the street. Their eyes were boring right through us and not saying a word. But it was very plain that what they were thinking is, you're leaving us now after all this time and you're going to leave us behind.
The streets became flooded with people. They were very angry at us. They could see they gave us up.
Our greatest fear was that the bitterly disappointed South Vietnamese forces may turn on the remnants of the American presence.
The bus finally showed up. They had the wire netting on the windows, which all the military buses had in those days, to prevent a grenade being thrown through the window.
The bus makes its way to the American embassy, but crowds of Vietnamese desperate to get out have surrounded the compound.
Suddenly, hundreds of Vietnamese started to rush our bus. And the Vietnamese were pounding on the wire netting, and they were pounding so hard that they cut their hands, and in short order, this netting was just red, blood red, dripping with blood. And the Marine finally yelled that they had to move the bus, and as the bus moved out, there was this terrible lurch, and obviously we had run over somebody who had fallen under the wheels of the bus. And the Marine just said, "Go on, don't stop, don't stop."
Unable to unload at the embassy, the bus races to Tan Son Nhut Airfield, where Halstead gets on one of the last airplanes out of Vietnam. But because of North Vietnam shelling, the rest of the evacuation must be by helicopter from the American Embassy compound. In addition to American citizens, U.S. Ambassador Graham Martin also evacuates Vietnamese who have worked for the embassy and the war effort. It is these people who face the greatest danger from the approaching North Vietnamese.
On the outside of the embassy, there were thousands of people trying desperately to get in. And there were a lot of our own people trying to get through the crowd of people in there. And I would wade out into the mass of people there, get some people and bring them back in. They were snatching at my revolver in my holster, or you know, these people were desperate. They were crying. They were hurting.
Crowd control became an almost impossible task. There was just sheer physical panic on the part of the people, and they would trample each other and each other's children.
While Marines fight desperately to keep people from climbing the wall, Bien Tran, a South Vietnamese Air Force pilot, is fighting to get in.
You cannot imagine how many people surround. I mean, just like a demonstration. Some kids crying, some ladies try to beg them to get in to save the life of the kids. By the time when we arrived at the gate, I still have some identification from the U.S. when I was a former jet pilot training in Texas. I just showed to the guard. He let me in.
Tran has become separated from his father, who is still outside the gate.
When I get into the compound, I try to ask one of the captains to get my father in. He says, if you stay here, or you want to go out.
Tran cannot reach his father and must make the wrenching decision to board an outgoing flight alone. Hour after hour, helicopters ferry people from the embassy yard and rooftop to American ships offshore, where decks become so crowded, helicopters are dumped overboard. Some South Vietnamese pilots escaping to the carriers even ditch their aircraft in the sea. 18 hours after the evacuation has begun, President Ford gives the order. That's it. Ambassador Martin must get on the next helicopter. The remaining flights will be for Americans only.
I just never experienced anything comparable to the emotional letdown and to the official as well as the moral responsibility that I felt we had for these people.
I really believed in what we were doing there. My whole life was wrapped up in that, and I thought that we had abandoned those people.
When I was on the helicopter, I took my last glance to my country, still thinking about my father. My tears started running down my cheek.
April 29, 1975, the end of the Republic of Vietnam, the end of our innocence. A very sad day.
Kevin Maloney is now a pilot for Continental Airlines. Bien Tran works for the Unisys Corporation. His father finally escaped from Vietnam 2 years ago. Tom Polgar is a consultant on national security affairs. Dirk Halstead is now a senior photographer for Time magazine. Next, a king falls in love and out of power. She would cost him his kingdom, but he would pay any price for love. Wallace Simpson and King Edward VIII, the romance of the century.
Hey kids, get in on the fun at Walt Disney's World on Ice, coming to Portland Memorial Coliseum February 27th through March 3rd. Mickey and Minnie, the Rescue Rangers, and the whole Disney gang lead the way to an incredible adventure as the classic tale of Peter Pan comes to life. Join KGW-TV for Hip Pack Night February 28th at 7:30 p.m. when kids under 12 get a free Mickey Hip Pack. Be the coolest in school with the pack that goes everywhere you do. KGW-TV Hip Pack Night tickets are on sale at the box office and all G.I. Joe's Ticketmaster outlets.
That cough sounds bad.
When her littlest patient is coughing, it's the biggest thing on Mom's mind. So now there's new Robitussin Pediatric Cough Suppressant, formulated just for kids. The long-lasting cough medicine with a great cherry taste, from the brand more doctors and pharmacists recommend. And since Robitussin Pediatric gives such effective cough relief, both the patient and the doctor can rest comfortably. New Robitussin Pediatric Cough Suppressant, recommended by Dr. Mom.
I remember it like it was yesterday. Mama's white sheets blowing in the wind. My sister and I playing hide and seek. Everything smelled so fresh.
Introducing Ultra Gain. Just one scoop leaves clothes smelling like sunshine.
Isn't it funny how the smell of some things can bring you back to those days?
New concentrated Ultra Gain for clothes as clean as sunshine.
We've had our gas masks on about 4 times.
Tonight on News 8, coverage continues of the showdown in the Gulf. Americans at war.
There's an overall feeling of fear.
They left our military bases. The sons, daughters, mothers, and fathers of the Northwest. Now, some are on the front line. With live updates from around the world, News 8 brings you the stories as they happen in the Middle East and how Oregonians feel about them. Showdown in the Gulf. America at war. Continuing reports tonight on News 8.
So, have you decided what you're going to do after you finish school?
Yeah, ITT Tech.
I think that'd be good.
You do?
Yeah, I talked with Kevin's mom. She says he loves electronics.
So will I.
She says he'll have his degree in 2 years.
So will I.
She tells people her son was smarter than she thought.
So will you.
Call ITT Technical Institute at 1-800-942-0088 for an informative brochure. 1-800-942-0088.
What would you do for the woman or man you love? Would you give up your job, your family, your country? Would you abandon caution and just follow your heart? This is the story of a man called the Prince Charming of the 20th century, a man who had everything but sacrificed it all for love. He was Edward VIII, England's king and ruler of an empire numbering 1/4 of the world's people. She was Wallace Warfield Simpson, a twice-divorced socialite from Baltimore, Maryland. They were the oddest of matches, yet theirs was the romance of our century. The unlikely Romeo, Prince Edward Albert Christian George Andrew Patrick David, raised since birth to ascend Britain's throne. His admiring public dubbed him the Fairy Prince and urged him to find a fairy princess. Instead, Edward served in the army and toured Britain's empire. Then, in 1931, he met his unlikely Juliet, the witty, twice-married Wallace Simpson.
She's a very interesting person, a kind of American heroine, full of the virtues of wit and loyalty and devotion. He was obsessed with her to an extraordinary degree, infatuated to the point of madness.
Their affair was open, despite the violent opposition of his family and the government. In January 1936, that opposition deepened when Edward's father died, and Edward became king. The issue, should a divorced woman become queen?
Even as he trudged behind his father's hearse, Edward balanced the throne against the love of an American woman. The English people and the entire world took a romantic time out, waiting for a king in love to decide.
On December 11th, 1936, the king announced his decision. He would give up his crown.
You must believe me when I tell you that I have found it impossible to discharge my duties as king without the help and support of the woman I love.
Edward's brother George will be the new king.
The empire, shaken and split by the abdication, closes ranks behind George VI.
In June 1937, Edward, now Duke of Windsor, married Wallace Simpson in France. But the couple found themselves ostracized by the royal family and exiled from England.
In Paris, Britain's former king and his bride made the announcement that they were not intending to embarrass the royal family by settling in England. Since then, they have been world travelers.
The Duke and Duchess settled into a life of constant wandering, but they remained constant, too, in their great love. Though the Duke's family neither forgave him nor accepted her, Edward professed no regret. "We love each other more than life," he wrote. "We belong to each other forever." Queen Elizabeth ended the exile of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor in 1967. Edward died in Paris in 1972, and Wallace died 14 years later in 1986. In accordance with Edward's wishes, they are buried next to each other on the grounds of Windsor Castle. Next, a look at tomorrow on Instant Recall. The heartwarming tale of a boy and his dog, how a courageous canine named Lassie won our hearts and barked her way to stardom. Also, they had us all wondering who was on first.
What are you asking me for?
But the laughter turned to tears, the comedy and tragedy of Abbott and Costello. And he wore a black hat, but he was the quintessential good guy, back in the saddle with Hopalong Cassidy. In a moment, Nancy Sinatra's fancy footwork.
I have this family I never see. Oh, they're around. I can certainly hear them. But when I want to find out who actually lives here, I have a foolproof approach. The minute these crispy, crunchy Mrs. Paul's fish sticks come out, whoosh, 4 piranhas with my last name materialize at the table.
Tender white Mrs. Paul's fish sticks. You know they love them a lot. Why not serve them a lot more often?
I do this once a week to keep everyone acquainted.
Nobody reels them in like Mrs. Paul's.
Do I know you?
Come on and lose that weight. Get your body slim. Lose yourself in the taste. You got to
Dynatrim, the weight loss plan from the makers of Centrum. Just blend for a delicious shake. Blend longer for a creamy mousse. Or freeze it for a frozen treat. Come on, lose yourself in the taste.
More delicious ways to lose it. Shake it, freeze it, creamy mousse it. You've never been so thin. Introducing Dynatrim. Lose yourself in the taste.
Today on First at 4.
She volunteered, but they didn't want her.
And it's been such a rough slap in the face for them to tell me that no matter how much dedication I have, no matter how much loyalty, no matter how much I want to help, they don't want me.
It's a blow to her patriotism, her life, and her dreams. Did the Army make a mistake when they let her go? Join us for a true test of power.
A special report today on First at 4.
Violinist Michael Hansen will be a featured soloist with the Merrillhurst Symphony Orchestra March 3rd at 7:30 p.m. For tickets, call 636-8141, extension 362. Lincoln High School's PTA is having their 41st annual rummage sale February 27th through March 2nd at Carousel Courtyard. For more information, call 280-5200. The community calendar is a public service of Channel 8.
We end with a moment from 25 years ago today, February 26, 1966. She's the apple of her father's blue eyes, a singer trying to follow in his footsteps. So far, she's released 15 singles, but Daddy's Little Girl isn't exactly rocking the charts. Her manager says she's got to change her saccharine sweet style and tells her to sing it salty. So with a gutsy voice, she belts out her next single. These boots are made for walking. And 25 years ago today, Frank Sinatra's daughter Nancy stomps to #1. Until other moments and other times, I'm John Palmer.
And that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Yeah.
Italy, the warmth, the love, the people, their passion. That's Italy. Sylvia's Dinner Theater, Italian cuisine, live theater, one splendid evening. Look at the food, the aroma, the garlic, the basilico, mozzarella, parmigiano, and the sauce. That's Sylvia's. Come to my place for dinner tonight. Arrivederci.
Call now. Call now. Be ready to become a travel professional in less than 6 months. Call Portland or Salem College at 1-800-863-2003. Financial aid is available if you're qualified and will even help you find a job after you graduate. Call now. Portland or Salem College, 1-800-863-2003. That's 1-800-863-2003.
On the next News 8 special assignment.
Good people move in to Northeast Portland.
Friends on the west side always say, well, we're crazy to live over in Northeast.
People that care about the area.
We have good neighbors and we haven't had any problems.
People that care about their families, about their homes, about their city for that matter.
We'll show you why